Have you ever been so mad that you wanted to take an object and throw it through a window? That's the way I felt when I sat on the Freehold, New Jersey courthouse steps in the fall of 2000. The ink was barely dry on my divorce settlement, and I was emotionally, psychologically, and especially financially broke. I was a loser in the love game yet again. But this time, I vowed things were going to change. I promised myself then and there I was going to master the art of seduction. No more relationships for me. I was going to love them and leave them. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow members, guests, have you ever heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear? Yeah. Well, the next day I found myself at the library. I was intuitively attracted to an amazing book on hypnosis. It defined hypnosis as the ability to articulate specific language patterns designed to bypass the intellect, directly reaching the emotional heart. It said if you can master these skills, you can plant suggestions into the subconscious of another that were virtually impossible to resist. I remember thinking, this is just what I've been looking for. So I took some time to master these tools. 9 chapters and 2.5 weeks later, I knew I was ready, and off on the prowl I went. It was a gorgeous autumn evening on the Jersey Shore, orange sunset caressing the ocean. You could smell the fresh fall flowers circulating in the air. There was a 6 p.m. singles dance at the cafe by the river. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordered my gin and tonic, and carefully placed myself along the railing of the deck with a perfect view of the females entering. After a few came in, that did not interest me. The perfect specimen glided in. She was long and lean, shoulder-length auburn hair, sky blue eyes, gorgeous smile. With my new skill set, I boldly approached her and delivered my opening line. Pardon me, do you take a spiritual discipline like yoga or meditation? Now, guys, that's a great question, because no matter what her answer, the follow-up is the same. She said, no, I don't. Wow, you have an amazing presence. The room cleared a path for your entrance. You carry yourself with elegance and discipline, a very rare combination, usually found in those who've achieved self-mastery. By the smile in her eyes and the glow in her face, I knew I struck a deep chord in her emotional heart. And I followed up by weaving several more hypnotic patterns. Guys, she was eating them up. It was working just like the book said. For the next 2 hours, we danced in each other's arms, and then I walked this angel back to my place. Those details are private. But my plan backfired. What started out as a careful manipulation turned into true love. Yes, we fell in love that night. 1 year later, Sue and I got married, and our love has aged like fine wine ever since that magical day. On my 3rd date, I had the courage to confess to Sue that I used hypnosis to capture her heart. And her response was a defining moment. She said, Pat, your silly one-liners made me laugh. But what captured my heart is that you treat me with kindness, care, and devotion. I see who you really are. Wow. She saw a goodness in me that I can never see myself. That captured my heart. Because in that moment, I felt a depth of love I've never felt before. She saw right through my egotistical facade and loved me at my core. And suddenly, I felt vulnerable, but free. You see, for the first 40 years of my life, I was basically unhappy, unsuccessful, and was desperately seeking love, only to have it elude me. But for the last 12 years, my life has been filled with happiness, success, and so much love. Because Sue taught me, Pat, if you want to experience true love, not the superficial, fleeting type, but the love that comes from your spirit, you'd have to stop chasing it and start giving it. Most profoundly, she taught me that everyone I meet has an innate goodness, a loving presence within that is their true nature. And when I tune to that presence, all my actions would be motivated by love. But I often forget this because we live in a culture that programs us to be addicted to dollars, electronic gadgets, and being super busy. Have you ever felt like you just wanted to stop the earth and get off for a minute or two? Yeah. Well, the earth won't stop for us. But I'd like to offer you a simple practice that Sue taught me that calms the mind and brings us back home to the heart. It's called a sacred pause. I find if I allow myself for 3 or 4 times a day, for just a minute or two, to consciously stop, sit down, close my eyes, take 4 or 5 deep breaths in the middle of the chest, be still and notice the silent presence around me. That brings me back into the heart. And when I cultivate this practice daily, I become more and more conscious of that loving presence within. And it helps me bring that love wherever I go and see it in everybody I meet. In Sanskrit, there's a word, namaste, which means when you are resting in your heart and I am resting in mine, there's only one of us. May you rest in yours. Namaste. Mr. Conte. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
1 minute of silence, please.